Hey, good morning to everybody. Happy Sunday. It's Daryl here. It is bright and early, 8 a.m. here in Connecticut on the East Coast. I know I say this all the time, but I did not plan on making this video. Let me jump right into this and fill you in. I just got back from an hour-long walk. Before I was getting ready to go on that walk, I happened to go through, I was going through my news feed and everything, and I happened to see one comment on one of my past videos, and it was nice. It was a compliment. So I was like, I gotta give this a heart. So I wasn't planning on reading. Like I've told you guys before, I hate to admit this, but I'm very sensitive. I take your comments to heart, and I have to pick a specific time to go through these because they affect me. I shouldn't admit that, but they do. So I went to respond to that. I put a heart, said thank you, and I made the mistake of reading the next comment, and it got me. It hit a nerve, and it hit a nerve. It hit something that had been actually in the back of my mind, and I need to talk about. Okay, I'll just spit it out. I've been concerned about, I heard Jimmy Kimmel say that anger seems to be the default setting of the country. He just said that a night or two ago, and that clicked with me. Honestly, it scares me that there seems to be a lot of confrontation. I got to be careful of my wording here, and I worry about that. And I talk in videos a lot of times. I talk about how I got into situations, altercations, and always in the back of my head, I worry about how this sounds. I want to make sure that I don't come off looking like I'm part of the problem, like I'm bragging or whatever. Let me tell you guys what this comment said. It said, speaks against, referring to me, speaks against fighting or whatever, and but brags himself. It's something along those lines. And bam, as soon as I read it. So the last hour on my walk, I've been thinking about this, and I'm not going to make excuses. I'm not going to apologize. I figure most of you guys understand what I'm talking about and what I'm thinking because you've been watching me for so long. But it bothers me, and I'm going to say this: a picture that I posted on my community page bothers me. I cringe when I look at it, and I'll explain why it's still there. Okay, like I said, this is out of a fear of. Or when I talk about these things, I like to sound like I'm coming from, I'm not just talking out of my backside. I've been in this position, and this is how I feel about it. The way I responded to this was I said, that I always say that I've lost more altercations than I've won, and whenever I've supposedly won any of them, I've never felt good about it. And then I said, this isn't bragging, this is remorse. And it's the truth. And as I was walking this morning, I gave some thought to this. You guys know I go to NA meetings, right? And I think subconsciously, I didn't realize I was using their forum, the forum I use there. I think I was using it a lot too when I talk about this. Like I've chaired a lot of meetings, big meetings, where I sit in the front and kind of run the meeting. I was voted to do that a few times for like 6 months at a time. And in these meetings, you guys, I don't want to talk too much because it's kind of private, but in these meetings, we all talk about what's happened in our past. And there's a reason we do that, is so that we all it's a form of brotherhood, a bond, that we're, nobody's unique. We've all made the same mistakes, and, it makes us tight. And, and people that don't know and sit in on this, a lot of times they're bothered by it or horrified by it because it's just one terrible story after another, or they say it's sob stories or whatever. But there's a purpose to it. And I didn't even realize this until this morning, but I think I was kind of using that format when I talked about in videos about being in altercations and stuff that I've been through before, describing what's happened to me. And I always try to say, I always try to point out the negative side of this. Let me say this too. This is something that goes through my mind. I probably never said it. like when you see veterans that were in wars, and a lot of them don't like to speak about what they've been through. Let me just say this out front, so nobody misunderstands. I have never been in that situation, in war or being a police officer or anything like that. But a lot of times you hear them say that it's not like it is in the movies. It's not. There's no glory. There's no. It's a lot. I hear a lot of times they say it's moments of terror, or hours of boredom punctuated by moments of terror, and they talk about the smells and all that. And having been in altercations before, I could relate to that. It's not like they show in the movies, and that's what scares me. That's why I talk about this. I'm scared. It scares me that I think with this push about being macho in the country today, there's a misunderstanding of what really occurs in those altercations and what it feels like, what it looks like, what it smells like. It's not pleasant. It's not like the movies. I think most people understand that. But I just watched a movie last night, Red 2 with Bruce Willis. And they're socking each other in the jaw, back and forth, bam, 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 bam. And I'm just looking, like this is ridiculous. No matter how much you lift weights, no matter how much muscle you have, no matter how many times you've been in these altercations, it doesn't build up your bones, it doesn't build up your teeth, it doesn't build up your eyeball. When you get struck like that, it has a result. You can't just repeatedly, in these movies, it bothers me. Movie after movie after movie, and I know most people understand it's just the movies, but a lot of people haven't been in these situations, and I feel like this is what I'm trying to avoid, trying to put my 2 cents in. That it's not pretty, it's not macho, it doesn't feel good. You don't walk away feeling like a bigger guy. That's the purpose. That's why I talk about this stuff. I'll be more careful in the future. Like I said, it hit a nerve, because I was in the back of my head whenever I talk about this stuff. I'm concerned that I come off sounding like glorifying. See, that's something they bring up in NA too. There's a thin line between sharing your stories and glorifying. Now let me get to the picture on the community page. It's still up there, and there's a reason it's still up there. My first thought was to take it down. It's a picture of me with scuffed knuckles. Now, when I took that picture and when I posted it, I was thinking about what had happened, and I'm not going to get into that because I don't want to, go down that same road. But what I was feeling, I felt stupid. I felt regret. That's when that picture was taken, and when I posted that picture, I felt stupid. I felt it was regret. I don't know if you can see, there's a bruise up here too, I think. And there's more to the story. But when I went back a day or two later and I saw it, I was like, I cringed. Because when I posted it, I was thinking about how I felt. And everybody that sees that, you don't know what I was thinking. You don't know how I felt, And then I realized that when I had a more objective view later, a couple days later, I was like, oh my God, this doesn't look like I want it to look. All right, now here's the reason why I haven't taken it down. When I take these things down, to me it bothers me more. It feels like my detractors win. It feels like I'm trying to hide something, like tuck it away like it never happened. Oops, I didn't make that boo-boo. I cringe every time I look at it, but it's a mistake I made. And I feel like, with the internet and these forums, it's so easy just to erase something and pretend it didn't happen. I make mistakes. I'm human. I think another thing too is a lot of times I don't explain. I multitask a lot. I paint and everything, and I think I rush through videos sometimes, or when I post pictures, and I don't really, take a more objective look on how they look from an outside view. And I tell myself, well, my viewers know me, and I don't have to explain it, but not all of them do. Okay, so I think that covers everything. But while I'm talking about painting, let me show you how I'm doing on Audrey's painting. A little extra here. let me take you over there. I think it's covered up right now. It's not finished, but here, let me take you for a little walk. Okay. Here it is. I'm still working on it. As you can see, I spent hours working on this sky, the sun over here, the reflection across the ocean. Now, there's going to be dunes all up here and seagrass. So the point of view will be from up on the dunes up here. And there'll be seagrass up over here. So there's a little extra to this video. So I hope I explained that. And this is another reason, like I said, why I pick a specific time to read your comments, because even though I don't like to admit it, they do affect me. They affect me more than I'd like to admit. All right. You guys have a great Sunday.